Hey, good people. Grits or cream of wheat? Who the hell is racist? Does anyone ever ask could they touch your hair?
Black Like Me.
You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Black Like Me.
Hey, good people. This is Dr. Alex G, and I want to welcome you back to another powerful and insightful and inspiring episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. Now, typically, this is the place where I would say, hey, I've got an exciting guest. But every once in a while, I am my own guest. And I need to either have a rant or just process what's going on or just thinking out loud to myself. This is one of those days. But before I get into that, and it's going to be exciting. I just want to say a few things that are really important to me. In light of all that's happening in our nation and in the world, the emotional roller coaster ride is it's wild. Some days you see things that are just so exciting, and other days things that are just so gut wrenching that you don't know just like what side of the fence you're on. But in the midst of this, a couple of things have taken place. Our Patreon support has been growing, and people have been hearing that allies educate themselves. They donate to good causes led by people of color, and then they affiliate somehow. They bring their friends along or they advocate. And I just want to say that I am just floored by the numbers of downloads. We have never seen these kinds of numbers. Last month was our best month ever, and we have increased that probably by 400%. It is absolutely wild. And so I want to shout out the names of people, because we said if those who give more than $6 a month, we will shout them out. And there's a whole array of levels. But to Rebecca and Greg Murray, thank you. Elliot Polash, friend of mine and colleague for years, thank you. Amanda Allen, thank you. Emily Rabbit, thank you. Brent Decker, thank you. Jessica Chandler, thank you. Leanne Dudick, thank you. Megan Suter, thank you. And AJ, thank you. I believe AJ is the latest of our supporters. AJ, thank you. Now, let me just say this, just sort of tongue in cheek, to my old standbys, to the folks who my ride and die listeners, right? Hey, we've been with you since season 1. Most of these folks have told me when I write them to say, thank you for becoming a patron. How long have you been listening? Oh, we started in June. Oh, we started in April. So I just want to say to my old folks, listen, let me just say this. I love that you're enjoying this, but if you're applying things that are working, it's helping you at work. It's helping you to understand your neighbors, your friends, your in-laws, people you love. Come on, hit that Patreon button, because this is a way to help proliferate the Black voice, Black mindset, to bring more Black guests into what you're doing. And so it takes good time and energy for doing this. And I don't normally elaborate like this when it comes to the Patreon support, but I'm just saying if something is helpful, it'll be really helpful to do something that would allow us to maintain this great level of programming. So I want to encourage folks who've been listening for a long time. I'm going to need you to do something. I'm going to need you to subscribe to the podcast. I'm going to need you to hit that Patreon button if you would. And then I'm going to need you to write a review. Wherever it is you download it, write a review. But come on, this is good content, and it's just not neighborly to not get a chance to reach back and say, how can I help this podcast go further? The Patreon link, the subscribe link, the review link. Those are things that you can do, and keep sharing it and keep sharing it and keep sharing it. Hey, another thing before I get into my little discussion. On Monday, June 29th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to be having a national film premiere. It's called Justified Journey, and a documentarian followed me to Mississippi 2 summers ago to meet my white relatives. In fact, and I can't remember the season, but we did the genealogy series. Well, this is the video of that. And how appropriate to be talking about the role of history and systemic racism as we're looking at what's happening in our world today. So Monday, June 29th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, there's going to be a free event, but you must register. There is a link in the description inside this podcast. You can do that, or you can go to alexg.com. That's my name. You know how to spell it by now. alexg.com. There's a banner on the top of the page that says click here to register for the movie premiere. Listen, tell your friends, bring folks. We have a platform that holds up to 3,000 guests. We will watch the video. It's 40 minutes. A documentary. It's not a video, documentary film for 40 minutes. And then we're going to have a meaningful discussion. And one of my cousins, my white cousin John, is going to be on the call. It is going to be great. All right. So weeks and weeks of COVID-19, watching what's happening in this world about Black Lives Matter, trying to talk to my family, my multiracial parishioners about this, my Black daughter about this, my white neighbors about this. And so I just have like 7 things I just want to reflect upon in the midst of everything that's going on. All right. So just my 7 observations as I'm navigating these waters and these things as a Black male. 1, I would just say I'm an optimist by nature. But I tell you what's making me a little nervous is that I don't want this to be the fad thing. And so I don't want, so I'm just saying I'm an optimist. So we got to really keep this going. But some of the things I'm seeing on television, some of the things I'm hearing are triggering. Like right in my own town, like 3 days after the George Floyd killing, a Black man is arrested in Monona, Wisconsin. Well, he's cuffed on his front porch because the neighbor says there's a Black man who doesn't live in this community and he's on this porch. You know, he's renting there. That should have been sufficient. Why do the cuffs come out? I have friends who have asked me, how are you coping? How do you feel about this? My word has been beleaguered. Beleaguered. Because I feel mentally drained, spiritually drained. I'm wanting to be optimistic, but I'm wanting to tell the truth. And it's just a lot of emotions. I'm talking to friends about how my mom gave me the talk at 7, but people don't, 6 or 7, but people don't want to give their children the talk because they don't, white children, because they don't want to spoil their innocence. But my mom didn't want to spoil my innocence either, but she wanted me to come back home to her every day. And so I'm optimistic, but I'm beleaguered because it's bringing a sense of numbness. Because it's just so much. It's so much. And the stuff that we've been saying is out there. Stuff that we've been saying is going to happen if we don't stop. We've been saying it. And so now folks are wanting to talk, and elected officials. So what do you think? What do you see? Where should we go? And it's like, well, what have you done with the notes from the last discussions and the other 50 Black people you've talked to? Like, do we start again? And am I telling you for a checklist, or are we really going to do something this time? Beleaguered. So I just want to start off by just saying that's where I find myself. And many of your Black friends they may not use that word, but we're just beleaguered. We're just exhausted. We're tired. We're scared. We're frustrated. We're angry. We're hurt. We're disillusioned. And when we say ouch, we're seen as angry. And if we take a knee, we're seen as non-patriotic or unpatriotic. So beleaguered, folks. Beleaguered, beleaguered, beleaguered. Next point. Don't let this be a passing fad, folks. I say that this is what allies do. Allies educate, they donate, they affiliate. If we do those 3 things, this will not be a passing fad for you. Educate yourself on the issues. Police brutality is not new. White women calling the police on Black men is not new. Understand the history. Oh, well, aren't we being divisive? Can't we look ahead? No, we can't until we look back, because you need to understand Amy Cooper's not the first person who did this. People like Emmett Till got beaten and dragged and drowned until like their eyeballs are popping out of their heads and they're looking like a disfigured something out of a sci-fi movie. And this is a kid. He's not even fully in puberty. Because someone said he whistled at them to say on her deathbed, that's not true. Understand how deeply, deeply This hurts and frightens African American people, that a simple call to the authorities can change your life. Change your life. And so let's not let this be a passing fancy. It's, people, it's on the table now. People have seen it. Like, we've watched this with George Floyd, but we saw Eric Garner. You guys, we saw it. Folks, we saw it. I'm drawing a blank on the person who was shot in the back, I think in Baltimore, and we saw the police officer plant something. If we've seen stuff happen, and George Zimmerman walked. I had a friend tell me he's signing Skittle bags for like lots of money at white supremacy conferences. So he's making money on this man's death. We had Rodney King on video being beaten. But what did it do? We had a riot, but what did it change? So please, folks, don't let this become just a passing fad. I know, Dr. G, that's why I want to do something. I want to do something. This is what I need you to do. Educate yourself. Understand what you're about to do and how it undoes the system. Because if you're not trying to undo the system, you just need to sit still and do nothing. Because what needs to be done is not just coddling black folks and making excuses for white folks. Folks at that officer, and I haven't even taken the time to learn his name, who killed George Floyd. Oh, he's not a racist. The two men that killed Aubrey, they're not racist. They're God-fearing men who are exercising their constitutional rights. Amy Cooper, she's not a racist. She said, I'm not a racist. I don't want people to think I'm a racist. And all of these Karens and these folks calling the police in parks and barbecues, I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm not. Who the hell is a racist then if it's not these folks? Don't let this be a passing fancy. It's in front of us. So educate, donate, affiliate. Get on people's mailing lists and show up at their meetings and trainings and find out how you can volunteer and how you can help them be part of the solution. Please, that's so important. Let's see, what's my next point? Where do I want to go to next? Now, it's interesting, and let me just say something about NASCAR. So at NASCAR, they decided that they're going to ban the Confederate flag. Now, where have I been? I didn't even know that they flew it. I guess I'm not watching NASCAR enough. Surprise, surprise. But they're not going to let people have it on their cars. And what's more is the folks who make Aunt Jemima, they're going to just take, Aunt Jemima right off of there. And Uncle Ben on the rice. So let me ask you this. Why now? Someone must have thought, that NASCAR thing is not a good idea. Aunt Jemima, it's not a good idea. They made her slimmer and they took some of her slave clothes away. I remember they made this big change. Some of you remember that. You're my age or so. You remember when they changed the look of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. If you knew it was bad, why did you keep doing it all these years? And let me just say this. Don't just take the Confederate flag down from NASCAR. And if people do it and violate it, take the money and start a black racing school, a Latino racing school to bring more ethnic minorities, more women into the field. I hate it when white people do something egregious and they fire them. Hit them where it hurts. Make them work. Take part of that money and build on-ramps for the very folks they're trying to destroy to come into their profession. So those cars that have been permitted to do that for those years, add a new tariff or something onto the entrance fee and create opportunities for black folks to get in. Now, I don't know the name of this black NASCAR driver, but there was a noose somewhere in his work area. We knew that there was going to be a pushback. When NASCAR said we're not going to fly the Confederate flag, you know you can't just mess with the good old boys, good old stuff and think that there's not going to be any pushback. And let me tell you what that news says. It says N-word, stay in your damn place. That's what it means. It means stay in your place. So people might get excited on television because they want black and brown money. But around here, we still don't want you around. So we're going to put this news up just to teach you something. So understand that while we're celebrating that Black Lives Matter and black racers matter and black pancake eaters matter and black rice eaters matter, I want you to know that people are pushing back. The same people who we don't want to call racist. NASCAR, you better put your money where your mouth is. You make this big proclamation that you're not going to let Confederate flags fly, but you're going to let nooses hang. What's up, NASCAR? Holla at your boy. Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, I'm okay with it. Just call her Jemima or call her Janet. But here's the thing. Don't just take Aunt Jemima away. Black people know that our recipes were stolen by the Colonel and by people who make pancake batter. Take some of that money. Keep selling Aunt Jemima. It's been working for you. And put some money in black culinary schools, or send black kids to culinary school to learn how to become great bakers, or hire black folks to come in and to create better batters and create better syrups and stuff like this. But don't just say, oh, she does look kind of Negro, doesn't she? Y'all knew what y'all were doing. You put her up there. You were trying to speak something to old white folks who miss the old black women who used to come and cook for you, Missy. And so we don't want to make really the what does my sister call it? Black Americana, like the salt and pepper shakers. That's not in vogue now. You got to go to a flea market to get that. But we still want to keep a little bit of the memorabilia of the cute, happy coloreds who used to wipe our asses, blow our nose, nurse our babies, and cook our food. So we're just going to keep a little bit of it in aisle 6 and call her Aunt Jemima. Keep selling her ass. Take that money and invest it in black people to get into your companies. Create recruitment. I have yet to meet a black person who says they work for your syrup company or your pancake company or your rice company. Put your money where your mouth is. You're not making me happy by saying, well, that's insensitive. No, not hiring black people is insensitive. Not putting money in the black community is insensitive. And stealing black people's recipes to send your white children to medical school and law school and the moon and any damn place else they want to go is wrong and unconscionable. Y'all, let's stop letting people just fire people and take labels away. No. Put Uncle Ben back up there. You've been pimping him for all these years. Let your uncle send black kids to your company, to schools, to come to create agricultural business degrees or scholarships. Listen, I am not impressed when people just say, oh, we're sorry, we've seen the error of our ways. Hit them where it hurts, their pockets. You going to put some money in the black community. I took a long time on that one, but I meant it. I meant that one. 4, understand the systemic realities. Come to the light. The systemic realities that slavery was not the worst thing that America has done. It was a belief system that people of a darker hue or of less intelligence, they were closer to being animals, that they didn't have true pain. So your great gynecological front runners could do surgery, gynecological surgery on black women without anesthesia because she wasn't real. She was an inanimate object. All of that was because you thought less than. Slavery didn't take that away. That's why we have the Tuskegee experiment. That's why we have other things, projects, housing tenements, redlining, because the system, by that I just mean the way of thinking. That's not a sociological way of saying the boogeyman. Just the way that people see dark people, black people. That has not changed, people. Oprah's not black. She's an exception. Michael Jordan is not black. He's an exception. Michael Jackson wasn't black. Well, that's a whole nother story. LeBron James, people don't see color with that. They just see, athletic prowess. And come on, people. These systems exist. This is why I want you to come to my Justified Journey movie on Monday night, June 29th, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I want you to begin to understand how these systems work. You're going to get some. So come on. There's a link here. Come on, register for it. But these systemic realities are here. And it's the attitudes. The systemic reality is these attitudes. I was downtown with my sister. We had some looting and we had people breaking windows and stuff downtown Madison. And so they asked for local artists to come and paint. My sister was one of them. And so I was filming. She had did some painting for this well-known established jewelry company. They came out and just really thanked her for the work that she did. And her work is called Defending Black Girlhood. It's her website. She's got a podcast that's called this. She's been on my show, Defending Black Girlhood. So she was filming this. This white woman walking by didn't know if I was a news camera. She didn't know if if I was Make-A-Wish and this young lady was saying what she was saying before she died, she didn't know. And so my sister got to the place where she's naming her organization, and this is called Defending Black Girlhood. This older white woman walks by and says, defending all girls. And she said, no, ma'am, defending black girls, all girls. And so I said, ma'am, you messing with us on the wrong day. Too much has happened in America. Too much has happened in Madison. Please, ma'am. She goes, well, I understand. I said, no, ma'am, you don't understand. Because if you understood, you wouldn't have opened your mouth, because you're messing with the wrong black people today. You need to keep it stepping so that her daughter will say, mom, because she's trying to walk back to us to get us straight. Mom, this space is not for us. This space is not for us. The rest of the world is for her. The rest of the world is for Karen. Not this space, not this little 15 by 15 space. This is not for us, but the Capitol is for her. The university is for her. Every damn restaurant up and down that street is for her. And she can walk up into that space and speak over my filming, my recording of this, to interject. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you live? Where do you have authority to speak into this? What do you know? How do you stop walking down the street to say to somebody, all girls? What gives you the right to think that you can correct somebody black about something she was paid to do, contracted to do? What gall? What gall? And do you know that while we're talking, my sister had done 2 places, and the owner of one business came out to thank her again and say, hey, anytime you're downtown, you just want to come in and sit and chill, you are always welcome in our business. That woman turned around and came back up and was sitting down in front of my sister's paintings, waiting until we finished talking to the owner of this tattoo parlor, because she wanted to engage us again. Do you know that black people don't do stuff like that? We have too much to do. We got places to go. We got to get home before the street lights come on. And she's going to turn around and walk back up State Street to get us told what? And let me tell you something. She represents school teachers and nurses and doctors. I'm going to say it, and lawyers and business owners and coaches. She is not an exception. She is not an anomaly. There's so many folks who just think that way. I'm sorry that's hurting your feelings. This is Black Like Me, so I'm going to tell you black how I think. I just don't see black people trying to tell white folks, you're going to change that. No, you're not going to paint that. All of State Street is anyway, let me just stop. All of these museums and stuff, we don't walk up in there talking about, well, what about the black people? Where the black people at? This ain't right. And so I'm just telling you all, there's some systemic realities that we gotta address with. We gotta address.
Hi, this is Jeremy Holiday, and I'm one of the editors of the Black Like Me show. And I just want to take a minute now to talk to you a little bit about Patreon. The show that we put together here is the culmination of an effort of a lot of people, and in order to do it, we need your support. We've been working for a while to come up with a Patreon that works well for people, and the levels that existed before, we recently added the $2 level, which is there for you if you like the show and you just want to give a little bit of support. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. I mean, I don't think you can find a cup of coffee anywhere, or half a cup of coffee for $2. So if you like what you hear on the show and you want to support it, go to patreon.com/blacklikeme and check out the levels to see if one fits for you. Now back to Dr. G.
My next point. Do your own work. I wrote my note to myself to say it 3 more times. Do your own work. Do your own work. White friends, please do your own damn work. We say this, and people still want us to do the work. I've got folks who I will coach, I will cajole, I will console. Hell, I almost cuddle them. Hey, buddy, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to think. This is what you got to say. This is what we need from you. I got you. They get back with their little busy lives. And then when the shit hits the fan again, they want to call me crying. I'm sorry. I'm ready to listen. And I'm trying to cope with stuff. I just watched a man get murdered on television. I'm listening to people call the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery two fine, upstanding Christian men, and they're raising money for them. And I know there's going to be a GoFundMe for Amy Cooper because she lost her job and her dog. They came for the dog before they came for her job. Very interesting. They came for her dog before they came for her job because they didn't think she was fit to have an animal. But she could still practice her business. And people, I'm processing this. I've got white members in my church. I've got a white great grandfather. I got white cousins. I got white employees. I got white board members. Do y'all understand? My banker is white. I got to process a lot of shit. And when someone's ready to become woke, it is my job to wake the hell up and keep you woke. When I have said, do your own work, please do your own work, please do. No, I want to get it from you. No, I can't learn anything about this from a bunch of white guys. I need somebody black to teach me. That's part of the reason why I'm beleaguered. Not because I did it, but because I have to keep saying to folks, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Listen, if I kept doing it, I'd be more than beleaguered. I would be catatonic. I'm beleaguered from saying, no, I can't. No, I can't. No, I can't. This is ridiculous. And I hope the person who did that is listening to understand it is unfair to put people in that pressure, to have to, if we're not responding to text messages or phone calls and you come by office because you want to talk, you want to do stuff, that's just not right. That's privilege to think that when I say no, it don't mean no. That's privilege to think, well, I'm going to talk about it. That's privilege to think, no. I'm serious now. I didn't get it before, but I get it now. So I want to talk with you about it. There are about 11,000 black people in Madison, but I'm the only one you can talk to about it. I'm the one you ignore. I'm going to go ghost on you like you went ghost on me when I said we need your help and we need you to talk to your white buddies, your white Christian buddies. So you don't want to do that, but now you want to talk to me? Not today. Not today. And I'm tired. Well, I'm talking about like doing your own work. I'm tired of being invited into, and then Alex, why do you keep going? That's a great question. I'm going to have to review that situation. I'm tired of going on TV interviews and radio interviews. And how does it feel? How do you think it feels? How does it feel to watch somebody black kill? How does it feel to see somebody white do it? Because you think I identify with George Floyd, but you don't identify with that officer. You think I identify with Ahmaud Arbery, but you don't identify with the two white men who killed him. You want me to identify with that man in Central Park, but you don't want to identify with Amy Cooper. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with the picture? Because if you're not George, you're not the officer, but you're the people that would say, get off of him, get off of him. So you're not quiet in the audience. You're not complicit at work. You're not complicit at church or the synagogue or the social club or the board meetings. You're not complicit. You're not quiet there, but you would have just balls to the wall on that officer in Minneapolis that day. I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. So when I'm in places and they say, so how do you feel? Or I hope it feels better to share your ideas. No, it doesn't, because it's re-injuring. It's triggering. And what I want to know is, why aren't you asking white people how they feel about this? Why aren't you, newscaster, asking white people how do they feel about what's going on? How do white business owners and foundation execs feel for not listening to black people who have said we've got to do something because these systemic realities? It's happening. I want to hear that conversation. How many ways can black people say, ouch, out, damn, stop, don't, quit, How many ways you need us to say is all jacked up? And so now we're going to sit down on your sofa on your TV stations and tell you how much it hurts, and then tell you what to do, and then go raise the money for it. And then, so I want to know, what do white politicians think? Now, here's something that you listeners can do. Here's something you can do, because many of you, we have people listening around the country. But for those of you in the States, we have people from all 50 states. Ask the people you voted for, is there a proclamation to support Juneteenth? Do we support Black History Month? Do we talk about this to our children in school? Are there books that explain civil rights and the contributions of black people in our children's libraries? Are there black teachers? We have to begin to ask questions. Ask your politicians. Talk to me about mass incarceration in our state. Talk to me about black unemployment, because typically in our state, it's double that of white people. And so you can begin to ask questions of business leaders, chamber leaders, Rotary leaders. You can begin to ask those questions. Those are not just questions for black people. Racism is not our problem. So what's white people's problem? Global warming? Y'all can't just put racism on us. We didn't create that. So I want to know, what do white business leaders think? Those of you that are listening to this, Ask your business leaders, your friends, your family members. So, like, what do you say to your stockholders about the lack of diversity? Now, if you live in a town that has no black people in it, you get a free spin perhaps. However, you can still create some internships. There are things you could do, some scholarships. But for those of you that are in diverse communities, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Omaha, Birmingham, Montgomery, New York, Atlanta, come on, Denver, San Antonio, come on. Ask the questions. What are you doing? How are you trying? What's the loss, the economic loss by not strengthening that client base? 2 more. Thank you all for hanging with me. Many of us who are African American work in the diversity departments of our entities, either community relations or community outreach or something like that. Well, what's hard is when situations like what took place with Breanna Taylor in her own home, Lord. This sister was in her own home. How does somebody not lose their job just over PR? Okay, let's just say that black life doesn't matter. Let's just say that black woman didn't matter. Just for the sake, let's give you a desk job. Let's demote you. Let's put you out but retire you so you still get you. How do you... The Humane Society came and got Amy Cooper's dog after that fiasco in Central Park. You could kill a woman in the wrong place. Like, were you drunk? Were you delusional? What happens that you go to the next place? You don't knock. You just go in. You just go shooting. Who did they think was in there? Al Capone? Come on, you guys. Charles Manson made it to prison. The Helter Skelter dude made it to... How is an innocent woman dying in her bed and nobody's losing their job? Y'all, I'm so tired of this. I'm so angry and hurt over this. So we work in these roles where we're supposed to tell others coming behind us it'll get better, and then our job is to feed words and lines and statistics and data and papers and articles and books and movies and friends to white employers to have this facade of being more diverse, but they don't really want to listen to you when you're about to put your foot in your mouth or to do something that's really bad. Stop. Please don't say that. No, we're going to do it. We need to. It needs to be said. All lives matter, whatever it is. So I'm just saying, a lot of us as black folks, we work in ethnic specific arenas, even within our profession. And it's just tough. It's just tough. And let me just say this too. The higher you go, there are people that are thinking, once you start moving up the professional ladder, we don't see color as much. We just see money. That's a lie. Don't let white people lie to you and say money doesn't allow you to see color. Otherwise, Oprah wouldn't have gotten pissed over in Switzerland when she was trying to see a bag and they wouldn't show it to her off the shelf because they didn't think she could afford it. Don't tell me that I've been black too long. I've had too many experiences to be talked out of my reality because you read a couple of articles or took a couple of social classes telling you what I know. I was in a conversation recently when I was talking to a black physician who has probably delivered more babies than anyone else in our community, but has to still justify, do you know how to do a C-section? Yeah, I probably have done more than anybody else in the state, but to make you happy, I have to still be asked this question: am I comfortable with C-sections? Their advisor in college at a Big Ten school, not Wisconsin, Big Ten school. We don't want you to go to medical school from this pre-med program. They wanted it to be just all white students. This person was almost kicked out of a residency because of foolishness of other residents. And to finally have to just threaten bodily harm just after this class, I'm about to whoop you down, I'm about to bust you up. Well, you're angry, you shouldn't be doing it, but no one's looking at the microaggression. He is a faculty member. He is an OBGYN. And every day, besides dodging COVID and not wanting to bring this back home to his wife, has got to deal with the microaggressions of patients asking, do you know how to do a C-section? Do you know that black physicians are asked if they are the CNAs on many occasions? My friends have told me this. I've not witnessed it. They've told me this. This stuff is excruciatingly beleaguering. Black excellence is an even greater affront to this assumption of white superiority, white supremacy. So just because we get more followers and more money and more say-so doesn't mean we really become more equal, because we become more of a threat. I'm just trying to tell you all. And lastly, and then I got to get ready to call it a night. Lastly, the control of resources. Once black people have identified the problem, we've articulated the problem, we've convinced white people that there can be a solution to the problem, we entertain all these phone calls and emails, and the control of resources for addressing the issues of COVID-19, pre-existing issues, hunger, the lack of medical care, the lack of reentry services, you name it. We have to still go to the majority community that controls the resources. And it's hard to talk about systemic racism and why some of those organizations have more money than, say, some of the black and brown ones. It's hard to get people to understand that. And if you push that too much, you're angry, you're uppity. And so they hold that money bag a little tighter. And not only do you not get it this year, you don't get it the next 2 fiscal years either. So there are things that we can do. Well, let me just say, but that's frustrating, because the people who control the money don't understand the narrative of the history. And the people who understand the narrative of the history are seen as divisive, angry, you name it. And so things don't get addressed. Part of the reason why these issues keep popping up and they never get addressed is because we fund studies and white papers and think tanks, but we don't fund solutions. And if we do fund solutions, you typically funders will fund white folks who are doing this stuff and not the people most affected by the issues. So if it's something having to do with black folks, it needs to, the funders, the businesses need to be of support. That's why I encourage people, support black businesses, black restaurants, black podcasts, black artists. Because it's one thing to say Black Lives Matter, but what do we do to support the people who are living those black lives? So that's why I think things like Patreon for this podcast is important. Writing reviews is important. Subscribing is important, because it increases our cachet and how we are optimized on the web when people are trying to, Google what they want to learn. These things help us. And with the thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads we have, if folks just say, I'm going to support, if you did a quarter, if folks did that, it would make a huge difference if thousands and thousands did it. So we've got to consider where we shop, who we subcontract with, because black folks in what we're experiencing now need more than just little handouts and diapers and wipes and sanitizer. Black wealth and its creation is going to turn the tide on these things. Having a say-so, creating business, creating jobs is going to have a huge, huge say-so. So I think that's it. I just wanted to talk with you all because we have so many new folks, and I want you to understand that I love talking with people, but I also love just laying down my thoughts about systemic oppression, about being beleaguered, about if you know something is right, why you fix it. If wrong, why are you fixing it now? Why didn't you fix it years ago? About doing your own work. I'd like to speak honestly, because I believe that our non-black friends can be part of the solution, but only when they fully understand the problem. And not understanding the problem is part of the problem. So listen, you all, I appreciate the fact that you listened. Please continue to download and share it with your friends. I love that we're downloading like crazy, and I love that our patrons are growing. And I love that more nations around the country, around the world, are listening to the podcast. And I'm glad that my team of engineers and administrators and managers and editors take this work seriously. I also want to let you know that on Thursday nights, I do Black Like Me Live on my own Facebook page, on my Alex G. I think it's Alexander G. Jr. I do Facebook Live where I have guests come on. We talk talk about issues. It's more current events. And so please tune into that. That's at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays on my Alex G Facebook page. Just come there. And I'm talking to interesting people about life and blackness, just like I do on the podcast, except sometimes things will pop up and we need to respond or talk about it and not wait to find the guest, record, edit, produce it, upload it. Sometimes we just need to talk about it. So even this Thursday, 6:30 p.m. on my Facebook page, I'm going to be live. And so begin to please put that on your schedule. 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Black Like Me live. Hey, thank you all. As always, I want to encourage you. I already told you about, subscribing and all of that, but I would just say, think of someone who needs to hear this episode. Share it. Help me get the word out. When I talk about affiliate, that allies affiliate, that means you connect yourself with a cause and you bring others to it, or you bring the cause to others. So do that. Folks who they're in positions where they need to have a better understanding of black people because of the need to hire, house, heal, serve. And so tell them about Black Like Me, that this is a place where you can come and learn. So you all have a great day. Thank you for just listening as I just take space or use this space to just talk about big things that are on my heart. This is important to me, and I'm glad that it's important to you. Now, go make this jacked up world better by being an ally who speaks up and an ally who educates themselves, donate to good causes, and affiliate themselves with those good causes. Take care. Thank you for being a part of the Black Like Me family. I want to thank Corey Saffold and Marcus Fleming for creating the music for this podcast. My podcast manager, Tyler Nyland, engineer and editor, Eli Steenlich, my editor, Jeremy Holiday, and a special thank you to WORT Studios, where we record Black Like Me.
Ooh, Black Like Me.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. You can find out more about Dr. Alex G's amazing work at www.alexg.com. Black Like Me is sponsored by the generosity of the Human Family Unity Foundation.